It's up 2. Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for Ayton. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
In my opinion, the best block of all time. Obviously we're a little biased.
I say excuse my language, but it was one of those moments.
I thought I was going to get dunked on, to be honest with you.
It's about as impressive as you can get.
Chris Paul falls down and lost the ball. Middleton inside, he banks it home. The NBA Finals are tied at 2 games apiece. It's a best of 3 now.
Good day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take on a Feel Good Friday. Getting you set for the weekend. That is Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman. I'm Molly Karen Rose. I like the beats. Fellas, we ready to do this? Let's go. A pivotal Game 5 in Phoenix.
Okay.
No? Okay. All right. The series all knotted up at 2 apiece. Both teams defending home court Milwaukee, with the momentum winning the last 2 thanks to huge games from Giannis and Chris Middleton. Stephen A., is this a must-win for the Suns?
Oh, I absolutely believe that to be the case, because here's the deal. Milwaukee is winning Game 6. Milwaukee is winning Game 6 in that environment at the Fiserv Forum. If the Milwaukee Bucks win Game 5 Saturday night, their fans in Milwaukee will be celebrating an NBA championship for the first time since the 70s come Tuesday night. They're winning Game 6. They're not losing Game 5. So if you're the Phoenix Suns, you have to definitely treat Game 5 like it's a Game 7, because I don't believe they're winning a Game 6 back in Milwaukee. Not with that crowd, not with Giannis, who still isn't 100%, by the way, playing the way that he's playing, not how Middleton performs at home, and not with attrition having kicked in against CP3. CP3, I think that he'll have 2 damn good games out of 3. I don't think it'll be a good game, Game 6. I think Booker could potentially have 3 big games, but at least 2. I don't think it'll be Game 6. I think Game 6 is going to belong to the Milwaukee Bucks, which means the Phoenix Suns got home court advantage for a reason. They better win Game 5.
I don't feel that way. I think it's a pretty damn good idea to win type game, but I wouldn't call it a must-win, Stephen A., because I just watched the Phoenix Suns. Like, even with Chris Paul turning the ball over and all that, I just watched them take them to the brink in Game 4. It took one of the greatest plays in the history of basketball, right? And Chris Paul turning the ball over, and Middleton going bananas at the end, to squeak out a win in Game 4. Why am I to believe that the Suns are incapable of winning Game 6? I have a legitimate question for you, Stephen A., because you've been covering this series. You've been in Phoenix. You've been in Milwaukee. And I'm not talking about the Deer District, right? I get that whole kind of area might be an advantage. I'm talking about in the arena. Do you notice a better home court advantage in terms of the fans for the Bucks than the Suns?
I got to tell you, I thought that no one was even on Phoenix's level, to believe it or not, until I went to Milwaukee. I mean, it's all they have, Max. Green Bay's 2 hours away. I mean, the Brewers, they'll think about the Brewers, as the summer progresses. It's all they have. And to see them be this close to a championship, this crowd in Milwaukee is something special.
It's better than Phoenix's. Is it better than Phoenix's home crowd?
I'm not going to say better than, but it's on that level.
Okay,
it's on that level, Max.
That's what I thought, because when you watch Phoenix, at least on TV, it's like, whoa, that's a home crowd, that's a home court advantage. And
Yes.
That's my point. You're right about Game 6. That's a tough spot for the Suns to be in if they lose Game 5, have to do that in front of that crowd in Milwaukee. But the same can be said for this Game 5. If I see the Bucks able to overcome the home court advantage of the Suns, and I just saw the Suns come within a whisker of doing that to the Bucks in Game 4, well, I already know that one team can win on the other's home court, and I already know one team can take the other team to the wire. I wouldn't say that the Suns are incapable of winning in Milwaukee. I don't anticipate that Chris Paul will continue to have 1 million turnovers a game. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Devin Booker is going to, look, he lit it up after he had a couple bad games, right? He lit it up. I think they can win in Milwaukee.
Well, let me throw this at you, Max, because, you've been to enough sporting events in your life. When you're watching a team and you feel like they missed a moment? Mm-hmm. That's what I feel Phoenix did in Game 4. Devin Booker picks up his fifth foul with about 6 minutes left or so, and he's got to go to the bench, and he's rolling, and he's absolutely unstoppable. But the foul stopped him because he had to go to the bench, and while he was on the bench was obviously when Milwaukee made their run. People keep forgetting Phoenix had a 9-point lead, if I remember correctly, in the fourth quarter, and they lost that. I mean, they were rolling. You had a lead, and on top of it all, Devin Booker couldn't be stopped. He was flowing. And so when you look at it from that perspective, just thinking about it, asking yourself, with a championship on the line, a Game 6, an opportunity to avoid a trip to Phoenix for a Game 7, that home crowd, that dear district, which, by the way, all of these numbers, people keep talking about 12, 15,000. I was told by the Milwaukee Bucks, by a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, it was 25,000 people.
It's easy to believe that.
I was told it was 25,000 people.
Did it feel that way?
All right, yes. And so what I'm saying is this. You got 25,000 people outside, and they are rocking, and they're roaring. You got the great Mike Breen, the Hall of Famer that is Mike Breen, literally telling you, this building is shaking after, Middleton makes a layup and the and one that wasn't because Devin Booker didn't get called for one of the 4 times he should have fouled out of the game and stuff like that. And Breen is talking about the building is shaking. He ain't lying, Max, because when I was there for Game 3, the building was shaking. I mean, it was pandemonium. It was electric, sure, man. And I'm just saying, if you are the Milwaukee Bucks and you just warded off Phoenix in Game 4, if you win Game 5, you don't come back and let Game 6 go. I don't believe that happens. I really, really don't. And the home rims are easier for Giannis from the free throw line, it appears, as well.
Keep in mind, though, what we were all thinking in that Clippers series. Mm-hmm. Chris Paul misses the first couple of games, COVID.
Yep.
Campaign played great. He comes back, but early on in that series, like, the Suns might beat the Clippers might beat the Suns, not early on. Once the Clippers won a couple games, the Clippers might beat the Suns. In fact, a lot of basketball people were saying that the Clippers would actually win the series. And partly that was because, Stephen A., when Chris Paul got back, after playing the best basketball of his career, which is saying something, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, against Denver, he slowed up the offense. It wasn't vintage Chris Paul. And at that moment, it was like, Chris Paul's not right. The Clippers are going to knock him out. And what did Chris Paul do? He answered in a Game 6 with one of the best games you will ever see, and they won. So what I'm saying is, in this series, it's up and down. In the last couple series for Chris Paul, but you just said earlier, you believe he doesn't have 3 great games in him, but he can do 2 out of 3, right? They have to either win one game where Chris Paul's not great or win them both when he is. But I think he has enough in the tank to get it done, even if they lose a Game 5.
We can't forget about Giannis. And we can't forget about the fact that whether Giannis is struggling from the perimeter or the free throw line, he's still good for 25-plus and double-digit rebounds. His impact is going to be felt, which leads you to believe Phoenix will be in a tight game, even if they bring their A game. The game will still be tight. Because of that is one of the big reasons why I say you've got to win Game 5, because you're not going to win Game 6, because I think Game 6, if it's going to be close, and I think that Milwaukee will be in a position to pull that out if they know they've got a title on the line to avoid a Game 7. I don't like Phoenix's chances if that happens. That's why I say Phoenix, it's a must-win situation Saturday night. Tomorrow night, I'll be there. Yeah. They better win this game. They better win this game, or they're going to be celebrating the title in Milwaukee Tuesday night.
It's a very good idea to win it, but I think if the Bucks can beat Phoenix on the road, then the reverse can be true too. One thing I noticed throughout this series, Stephen A., even in Game 4, it seems to me that the Suns move the ball, guys, everyone's touching the ball, and they get easier baskets than the Bucks. The Bucks look like they have to grind and work for everything, to me, which tells me that I believe the Suns are actually the better team and they still have home court.
Let's focus on specific players, though. When Middleton scores 30, guys, they've won all their games this postseason. So we saw Devin Booker. He struggled in Game 3 and then more than redeemed himself. Both he and Chris Middleton went off in Game 4. And then Chris Paul hasn't looked like himself of late. Max, who do you think is the key player to get the JOB done Game 5 mañana?
It's Chris Middleton. It's Chris Middleton, from Kendrick Perkins calling him Batman and then backing off, Perk, and saying, well, Giannis is Batcave. You got to show up on the road. And Chris Middleton has been kind of like one of these unstoppable superstar types at the end of games sometimes, and usually, not always, usually, that's at home. Here they have a pivotal Game 5, and we know what we're going to get from Giannis. You know something, Stephen A? My late great brother Sam and I used to argue about Shaq and Kobe because I was the big brother. I liked Shaq, and he was a Kobe guy, right? When we would argue who's more important. And he would say, look, Kobe, whenever he goes off, they win. And I would say, that's because Shaq goes off every single night. Every night. If they both did what Shaq did, they'd never lose. So I can count on Giannis. The one time he scored under 30 in the last, I don't know how many games, it's because he hyperextended his knee, had to come out of the game. He was at like 25 points with 9 boards. Otherwise, he's better than 30 every single night with double-digit rebounds and other stuff like assists and blocks and steals. I know Giannis will show up. Will Chris Middleton, or will they waste another huge night from Giannis as they did in Game 2 when Giannis went for 40?
Well, what I would tell you, Max Kellerman, is that you can't, listen, you can rely on Giannis for his numbers. But again, and when games wane and it's close, and you're suspect from the free throw line, I'm not sure I can qualify you as dependable. And I think that that's something to pay attention to, particularly in road situations where they're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the amount of time it takes for him to let go of those free throws. That's number one. Number two, though, watching Devin Booker last in Game 3, in Game 4, I apologize. He is my key player for Game 5. Because if that Devin Booker shows up in Game 5, Phoenix ain't losing that game. They ain't losing that game if Devin Booker shows up and he's dropping 40 and he's dropping buckets and he's looking absolutely unstoppable. They're not losing this game if in Phoenix if Booker plays like that. And I think he's key, and I think the reason that he's also the key is because everybody knows that Chris Paul is not 100%. He's not right, Max. He's not right. I'm telling you what I know. He's not right. Okay? Yeah. So because he's not right, I think that Devin Booker has been given word, young fella, it's on you. We need you to be that superstar, that second coming of Kobe that Stephen A. declared you were and Max Kellerman declared you were. We need you to be that dude because a championship is on the line. Go out there and be great. Mamba mentality and all of this other stuff. Do it. This is what it comes down to right now. This is a best of 3 for the championship, period. This is a man that wants to play for the Olympic and win Olympic gold. Guess what? NBA championship's a little bit more important than the Olympic gold medal.
Yeah,
and this is what's on the line, and Devin Booker knows it, and he knows he can't rely but so much on CP3. So I'm going to put 2 guys in, Max, right here for your edification. Devin Booker is one. The other is Cam Johnson. I am a huge Cam Johnson believer. I believe this brother, Cam Johnson, should get 30-plus minutes. And I believe that Monty Williams and CP3 should ensure that he gets at least 15 to 20 shots. This brother is a sniper. He is not scared of the moment. He's got good size on him. He's athletic, and he can gun it, period. This dude is no joke, and he is the one dude coming off their bench who has been consistently productive with his shot and his offense. Get him in the game more and get him the damn ball.
I'll say
Cam Johnson and Devin Booker, those are my key. Booker first, Cam Johnson second, but both of them are my key players.
Look, I mean, the Suns have a great look at the starting 5. Mikal Bridges can light it up. He can really shoot, and he can really defend. I appreciate what you're saying about Devin Booker, Stephen
He can't shoot better than Cam Johnson, Max.
I don't know.
I don't think
Mikal Bridges shot something like 43% from 3 this year.
I'm just talking about watching these playoffs. He ain't shooting better than Cam Johnson.
Well, the reason Cam Johnson lost the starting job was defense. It wasn't shooting. But I appreciate what you said about Devin Booker. Here's where I'm coming from. If you're looking for a big night, the Mamba mentality in a big game, and you go to Devin Booker, you've come to the right place. I believe that Devin Booker shows up in those situations.
So do I.
And so we're on the opposite side of this argument, really, that we usually are. You're usually the guy who says, look, I can rely on that guy. I'm not talking about him because I don't know what I'm going to get from the other guy. I know I can rely on Giannis. I'm not talking free throws. I'm talking about having a monster game. I can rely on him. I can rely on Devin Booker. I believe I can. Big moment, they need more from him. You came to the right place. Stephen A., what do we get from Chris Middleton? Sometimes extraordinary stuff, sometimes like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm looking at Chris Middleton. This is his moment right now. Middleton has got to show up.
Well, he's got to show up for Game 6 and potentially a Game 7, not necessarily a Game 5. You see, the thing about it is that, again, Game 7 is a crapshoot. Anybody can have that. I'm declaring Milwaukee will not lose Game 6.
Yeah, that's where we disagree.
And that's where we disagree. Milwaukee will not lose Game 6. So, to me, they're going to win Game 6. Their finals is determined Game 5. If Phoenix loses tomorrow night, to me, it's over Tuesday. And I don't believe they're losing tomorrow night.
I think Phoenix is too good, and I'll tell you something else. To go out like that, they could lose a Game 6, but I'm saying they could also win it at Milwaukee. You can talk about Chris Paul not being right. That's obvious. If you have eyes, you can see. That's not, something's going on. If Chris Paul's back is to the wall, though, if he has anything left at all, and he has to go on the road to a Game 6 in Milwaukee, and he knows his team came very close in Game 4, I believe Chris Paul will have the game of his life. Like, he'll find whatever reservoir of strength or whatever he needs to get it done. That doesn't mean they win. You can play valiantly and still lose, but I would not count the Suns out of a Game 6 in Milwaukee.
Well, listen, I think that if you win Game 5, your back is not against the wall for Game 6 if you're Phoenix. A matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Milwaukee gets out to an early run and they take their foot off the gas to preserve CP3 for Game 7. That's how I'm viewing things. And that's why I say Phoenix has got to win tomorrow night. That CP3 and Devin Booker and those boys, they got to treat Game 5 like a Game 7. They were in Milwaukee. They know how difficult it's going to be to win a Game 6 in Milwaukee if they lose Game 5. They know. They don't want that. They're going to win They better win Game 5.
These are the highest leverage games of Chris Paul's career, of his career. There's legacy on the line. How can a whole career boil down to this minute or that minute? Not the whole career, but this has an enormous influence on the way he'll be remembered. Where on the lists and all that kind of stuff. And, Michael Jordan's so-called flu game, or LeBron James in Game 7 on the road against the Warriors. We're going to talk about it later, like Tom Brady, actually MCL last season, not to mention in the Super Bowl. Chris Paul is writing his legacy right now. And whatever's going on, whether it's the after effects of something he went through, an illness, or whatever it is that's where he's not right, Stephen A., you brought it up yesterday. I'll reiterate it right now. He got to figure it out. Either Game 5, Game 6, or if there is a Game 7, because he's writing the script now.
Sure, sleeping in his own bed will help him. But to bolster that point about Game 5s being pivotal, when they're tied 2-2 in a series, Game 5, teams go on to win 72% when they win Game 5, ultimately winning the series. So that's just how important that game is. We'll keep it moving, guys, from one team in Wisconsin to another, talking all things Packers next, and how Aaron Rodgers leaving would ripple affect the franchise and league. Plus, just who is the most important player in the NFC East? There's no way Stephen A. is picking a player on the Cowboys, right? Talking the Beast of the East. Stay tuned.
You messing with the king.
You can only control what you can control.
End zone touchdown! Is he the MVP or what?
Thing of beauty! Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. His loyalty is somewhere in Hawaii with his fiancée. He's not thinking about the Green Bay Packers.
Hell yeah, Aaron Rodgers can stay home.
The fact that Aaron Rodgers might not play this year is, I can't fathom.
I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this week. And then I'm going to get back to working out and figure things out in a couple weeks.
Under my reign too, my palace you came. I bow down to your highness because you know I'm the king.
I like this, Aaron Rodgers. Marcus Spears was watching our convo on the latest with Rodgers and the Packers yesterday, tweeting this to First Take. Me and Perk was too much today, huh? Too much for one day. Well, Marcus, we saw that you missed us, so please know you
I never thought
the invite.
Molly, I never thought I'd see the day when Max Kellerman and Stephen A. was too afraid to debate the two country boys on TV. I never thought I'd see the day. But that's the vibe I got yesterday when they were having the conversation with Big Perk. And I must admit, I was a bit jealous because I was like, I've never known them to run from a fight.
I'm confused. you said two big country boys in you and Perk, but acknowledge that Perk was on the segment with us. So there was really one country boy that was missing from the argument. And I'm trying to figure out where in God's name do you get the notion that we were afraid just because you were in some damn dashiki looking shirt yesterday and you didn't feel like
What was his shirt yesterday?
I don't know what the hell he was wearing yesterday. I'm just saying, how do you deduce that we're scared
The florals.
to have you on when Kendrick Perkins was on with us already?
I would like to know that also.
Because you didn't want a double dose of that smoke. That's what you didn't want. I watched Perk get on here and make all of y'all dance around all of y'all opinions about the Bucks and Batman and Middleton, and then you actually had the however you say it, the gall
audacity
to talk about the Cowboys and not bring me on yesterday because you were scared. I'm here today. Let's go.
Of a cowboy. I'm scared of a cowboy. That's funny.
That's
funny. That's funny.
Deep down in your heart, y'all.
Whatever. Please.
Come on, Molly.
Let's go.
Do your job, Molly. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Boy, barking orders at Molly, telling us we're scared. He's on one today, boy.
What happened to those good vibes, right? Right out the window. Okay, Marcus. Oh my goodness.
Please.
Men. Marcus, what is the ripple effect of Rodgers leaving Green Bay? If he does,
Molly,
obviously.
we've been having this conversation about Aaron Rodgers, and it got me to thinking, this is a window that's going to close. And Max and Stephen A. always talking about basketball, and we look at the moves that are being made and how teams are positioning themselves for championships. And I start thinking about this is not only just about Aaron Rodgers for the Green Bay Packers. This is about Devontae. This is about Bakhtiari. This is about their stars who don't have contracts right now, and they're in some cap problems to try to keep all of these guys. But when you lose Aaron Rodgers, you not only most likely lose those guys because they want to win a championship, you lose guys that Aaron Rodgers would have brought to Green Bay. And I think about LeBron when he went back to Cleveland. It wasn't people busting the dough down to go play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But when LeBron returned, people saw their window open. This is an opportunity to get a championship. And you saw the players that started to flock to play with him. Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay or having this rift between Green Bay, which is why I believe they need to rip the Band-Aid off now and get started on their next window. Start determining how they're going to build a team to be a championship caliber team. Because this Aaron Rodgers thing is going to be bigger than just Aaron Rodgers departing from the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, it is going to be bigger than Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is that large and he'll have that kind of profound impact in the event that he doesn't end up remaining a Green Bay Packer, which I sincerely hope will happen. Although I doubt it will. They ain't stupid, so they don't want to lose him. He's probably going to stay on board because he doesn't want to retire, and they've made it very, very clear they're not willing to unload him. But let's understand what that means. Let's put this in its proper perspective. I want everybody to understand this. That's essentially the Green Bay Packers saying, we don't give a damn that you don't want to play with us. You don't want to play for us. You don't want to be here. We don't care. We're going to use you up because you're under contract for us. We have your rights. We don't give a damn what you say. We don't care that you're miserable and you don't want to be here because Adam Schefter went on his podcast and reminded the world Aaron Rodgers does not want to be a Green Bay Packer. They don't care. So I want NFL players everywhere to understand this is an organization that basically is proving everything we've been saying about how they've treated Aaron Rodgers for years. They don't care about how he feels. They don't care about what he wants. They don't care about what he thinks he needs in order for him to be happy. They don't care. That's the bottom line, and that's what everybody should remember. And I hope all the players are paying attention to this when it comes to playing for the Green Bay Packers under Mark Murphy and Brian Gutekunst. Clearly, they don't care.
We're talking what the ripple effect would be if Rodgers left. You know where my mind goes, guys? Vegas. My mind goes right to Vegas. And I'm not talking about the odds. I'm talking about the AFC West. Do you know how gangster the AFC West would be if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver, which I think is the most likely place. Think about this for a second.
Yeah.
You could argue the three most talented quarterbacks in the NFL, Mahomes, Rodgers, and Justin Herbert in the same division? Good luck, Gruden. Good luck, Vegas Raiders. That would be so brutal. Could you imagine? Mahomes, Rodgers, and Herbert got to play each other twice a year?
There would be a petition to get rid of the Denver Broncos from the division. Well, go ahead.
I mean, right, and that's the other thing. Denver is a hell of a team if they had a quarterback. And they wouldn't just have a quarterback, they'd have Rodgers. The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl every year. I mean, and Justin Herbert, the way he played as a rookie, oh my God.
But Max, I think too, man, like we've had this conversation about like how these players are starting to learn and the moves that they're making and how they're being so vocal about how they want their futures to be. And you take Jalen Ramsey, for instance, and how he went about getting out of Jacksonville. And you think about where Jacksonville was prior to that. I think 2 or 3 years prior to that, Jacksonville was in the AFC Championship. Where's Jacksonville now? The ripple effect. And that's why I was thinking about this with Aaron Rodgers. And to your point, Max, like another man's trash is another man's treasure. We hear that all the time. But that don't mean the place that he leaves ain't going to become trash. And Green Bay is going to become trash for a while. If this saga plays out too long, like let's take this scenario. If Green Bay wants to play hardball and they want to continue this, well, we got you under contract, to Stephen A's point, and they going to play this game with Aaron Rodgers, the rest of the league is looking. The rest of everybody in this league is looking. You better hope that these draft picks that you have turn into really good football players, because most teams are comprised of veteran guys. When you talk about championships, there's veteran guys. There's guys that's been around this league for a long time. Take what Tom Brady did, for instance. It was dudes beating the door down to go to Tampa because they knew that it was a high possibility that they would have a chance to play in the Super Bowl. Even though we've talked and lamented about Aaron Rodgers and what Green Bay hasn't done for him to set him up in position of Super Bowl, and I don't feel the same as everybody else. The bottom line is a lot of these guys, Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, you think about Devontae contract coming up, Bakhtiari, one of the top offensive linemen in the league. This cupboard is going to be bare in Green Bay. And I know Aaron Rodgers is responsible for a lot of the things that were successful, obviously, and where this team had the potential to go. We still talking about Green Bay as a potential Super Bowl contender and even playing in the game if Aaron Rodgers returns. But if Aaron Rodgers leaves, or if they play this hardball game and Aaron Rodgers stays at home and decides that he's never going to play with Green Bay again, which I think he will, the Green Bay Packers better be thinking about damn Jordan Love. They better be thinking about making sure that the guys in that locker room, in that organization, that they have a chance to re-sign or have a chance to be on their team going forward, that they do everything in their power to keep them. Because everybody's looking at this Aaron Rodgers situation, and it's not about the NFL. It's about how the Green Bay Packers are going to handle it, which is going to determine a lot of veteran players decide if they want to play there or not.
Well, Marcus Spears, first of all, I appreciate your astute take. It was eloquently stated, very astute, very on point. I just want to add that it's amazing the take that you had, because weeks ago when I said those exact same things, you were in an uproar at Max and I because you felt we were making excuses for Aaron Rodgers. I just want to point that out. Yes, that's exactly what you did. That's exactly what you did. Here's the deal. From a football perspective, none of us are debating a single word that you said. We understand what Aaron Rodgers brings to the table, but we also understand the situation that he was in with a team back-to-back 13-3 seasons competing for Super Bowl championship, how some of their struggles he had something to do with. What I was trying to say was that the football world is watching, because this dude is not telling you that the organization doesn't know what they're doing. This dude is saying to you how they treat people, particularly him, is no longer tolerable, and that's a message to be absorbed. And then when you look at today's player, How many times have you spoken about this, Marcus, where it's a different day? Cats, the NFL, we know how much power the teams have. Max, you've articulated that position on many, many occasions. We know how much power the NFL has compared to teams in the National Basketball Association or even Major League Baseball. We get all of that. But times have changed, and player empowerment has elevated significantly within the National Football League. Green Bay might just be one of those organizations that's hell-bent on saying, hell no, we ain't going to fall victim to that. And we going to send a message that, you know what, folks ain't running the asylum. We are. That's what they could be doing. And Aaron Rodgers may be saying, oh, that's how you view me. That's how you've been treating me. We shouldn't tolerate this any longer. And that's exactly why you're right, Marcus. All of these players are watching. Somebody's going to always go to an NFL team. You got football players. There's only 32 teams. You got to get the money from somewhere. I get all of that. But in the end, let's pay attention to Brady with Belichick. The New England Patriots are who they are. We raved about the greatness of Belichick. But when Tom Brady departed, you had people clamoring to go with him because they knew how special he was. And the players have more influence with players than coaches do with them. And that's what we got to pay attention to.
And say the difference is, and I got all of that when you and Max was talking about it. What I'm talking about is from a football perspective for the Green Bay Packers as well. That's why I said you better rip the Band-Aid off and get started on the next phase of your organization and franchise and start rewriting how you want guys to look at you. I get it, like that is an obvious statement when you and Max were talking about how other players would look at this. That's why it's so crazy to me that the Green Bay Packers won't go ahead and get this over with. It's more detrimental to let this play out with a disgruntled Aaron Rodgers and you want to flex your power than to rip the Band-Aid off and get started with the Jordan Love era and try to usher in some new idea of what the Green Bay Packers are going to be.
Let me just say this.
That's my point. I still don't agree that they've done everything wrong like y'all try to make it sound when we having this conversation.
I'm only talking about their relationship with him, only.
The importance of the quarterback in the NFL has been elevated to the point where a few of them, 3-4 of them, are now the boss. And the sooner the front offices learn that, like Murphy and Gutekunst, you should repeat after me and say, Aaron Rodgers is my boss. Say it out loud. Say it at a press conference. You might start changing his mind. He is the one whose mind, you have to change his mind. If he has the guts, guys. If Rodgers has the guts to stick to his guns, you're going to have to change his mind. I can count 3 of them for sure, and maybe Russell Wilson's on the bubble. There is Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady. They are the ones calling the shots. Mahomes gets along with Reed and the whole thing, so it's good now. Rodgers does not get along with his team. Brady had differences in New England, and now just watch.
All right, let's talk about a happier subject. But that's Marcus, your former team.
Cut bait, man. Let's move on.
All right. That's what we're going to do. When we come back, Stephen A. calls the Cowboys Christmas because they're the gift that keeps on giving. But does he think a certain Dallas player is the most important player in the NFC East? In this postseason, everyone felt that Chris Paul entered the top 5 point guards of all time. But with an up-and-down finals, has he dropped out? NFL, let's get it. Previewing the NFC East, the Cowboys begin training camp next week. Dak Prescott is expected to be a full participant as he eyes a comeback season for Dallas. Daniel Jones is entering his 3rd season in the league. Come on. The former Duke quarterback threw 24 touchdowns his rookie season, but was held to only 11 in 2 more starts last season. It's Fitzmagic time in Washington as Ron Rivera and company turn the veteran to this offseason. Fitzpatrick is entering his 17th season in the league, and this will be his 8th team. And after trading Carson Wentz to the Colts this offseason, the Eagles are likely to hand over the offense to Jalen Hurts. In 4 starts last season, Hurts totaled 8 touchdowns but has 5 turnovers. Marcus Spears back here with us. Max?
Yeah.
Who's the most important player in the NFC East?
It's Daniel Jones, easily, because that's the whole fate of the Giants season. Their 3rd-year quarterback. As a rookie, he showed enough to get people buzzing, Danny Dimes, the whole thing, and he deserved it, by the way. He was very good as a rookie, but he turned the ball over, kind of needlessly at times. Unforced, it seemed. And then his 2nd year, he had an injury to his lower extremity, so he couldn't move around. didn't really develop in year 2, but there was good reason for that. No Saquon Barkley, an offensive line, Andrew Thomas was started slowly, and then what I just mentioned. So now we're in year 3. But what does he have at his disposal? Guys, they brought in Galladay. They drafted Kadarius Toney. They brought in Kyle Rudolph to supplement Evan Ingram. They have Slayton and Sterling Shepard. They have a lot of weapons. And by the way, Saquon Barkley coming back with some of the resources they poured into that offensive line in the last couple of years, including Andrew Thomas. They should be a much improved offense, and their defense is already good, but it all hinges on Daniel Jones. Quarterbacks frequently take that developmental leap in year 3, especially given year 2, the way that went down. There's good reason to believe he can do it, and if he does, the Giants will win the division. The Cowboys don't have a defense. Washington doesn't have an offense. Philadelphia is a mess. If Daniel Jones performs and develops, there's a good chance that happens. The Giants win the NFC East.
Howdy. How do? You know, Marcus Spears, that guy, Stephen A., my buddy Stephen A., just went down. He went for a little bathroom break, so a little Southern Steve is showing up in the house right now. And I got to tell you something, Marcus Spears, Pastor Spears, you understand, T.D. Jake's brother. Let me tell you something, Pastor Spears, right now. As I thought about this, and I really inhaled this, Max Kellerman, this is the thought that came to my mind. I know y'all thinking, I'm thinking Dak Prescott, right? And this little hip action and all of that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Looking like he's trying to audition for Dancing with the Stars. I know y'all thought I was thinking about Dak Prescott, didn't you? But I got news for you. No, I'm not thinking about any of those quarterbacks in that NFC East. You know what I'm thinking about? The running back. And that would be Ezekiel Elliott. Now, why would I say such a thing, Marcus Spears? Why would I say such a thing, old Southern Steve? I'll tell you why I'm going to say that, Marcus Spears. Do you know that last year, Ezekiel Elliott only had about 244 carries? Now, the only time in his career in the National Football League that he has had less than 300 carries in a season was the year he was suspended for those 6 games. Other than that, every single year, 322 carries as a rookie, 304 carries his 3rd year, 301 carries his 4th year. But last year, in 15 games, only 244 carries. And let me tell you something right now. If Ezekiel Elliott ain't running the football, that puts pressure on that old recovery from injury Dak Prescott to go out there and throw that football more. That you're asking him to drop back the pass. You're asking him to rely on that offensive line to protect him. You're asking him to just fling the football all day. And you know when it's an accident that needs to be waiting to happen, and the Dallas Cowboys are looking to make that happen, it's usually with them throwing that football. So let's be very, very clear. That running game is very, very pivotal to the success of the Dallas Cowboys, which comes down to Ezekiel Elliott. Are you going to fumble this time? He fumbled a little bit more last year than he had at any other time in his career. You know that, Marcus Spears. You know that, Marcus Spears. He did fumble that football. And oh,
Zeke
by the
got
way,
paid and when I
look at him, he averaged better than 4 yards a rush every single year. Last year, it was at 4.0. He didn't rush for 1,000 yards last year, only 979 yards rushing. I'm just saying, Ezekiel Elliott could be a pivotal component to the success or the failure of those Dallas Cowboys. You keep an eye on him, Pastor Spears. You keep an eye on him.
All right, man. I heard enough. And both of y'all, for the sake of this show, I understand it. I get it, fellas. Like, I know. And I know in Mac's heart of hearts, he think Daniel Jones is the most important player. Stephen A. Lyne, he don't think Ezekiel Elliott the most important player. Dak Prescott, the most important player. And y'all know damn well that that's the key to this division. Because when we saw, I'm going to start off the field first. I'm not even going to talk about Dak playing the position. Mm-hmm. Do we not remember the response of the Dallas Cowboys when they saw Dak Prescott laid out on the field?
Yeah,
do y'all not remember the conversations that followed about how important he was to that team as a leader, as a guy? I'm not even talking about playing the game yet. I'm talking about how that team responded when they saw Dak Prescott. And everybody on television, including both of y'all, was talking about, see, that's why you should have paid the man the money. That's why he's more important. Stephen A., for 2 years, I heard you talk about Dak. Everybody went crazy when he missed practice, and he does everything right. He's the perfect guy for the Dallas Cowboys. The bottom line is this. The best quarterback in the NFC East is Dak Prescott. The most important player in the NFC East is Dak Prescott. Because for as much as we talk about these other teams, and we understand where they are, we understand that Fitzmagic is the hope and pride of the Washington football team, that he's going to get it turned around for them offensively. We know that Daniel Jones has had some things added to the team, but we all know, and because it's First Take, we got to disagree. But how in the hell are both of y'all gonna sit here after watching the Dallas Cowboys last year and not say that Dak Prescott is the most important player in the NFC East?
First of all, he's the best player in the NFC East, and we all anticipate the Cowboys are going to have the best offense. We know that already. We think Washington probably going to have the best defense. We know that already, right? But if Daniel Jones shows up, he was 18th QBR as a rookie, 20th as a second-year player. If he brings that up, if he's middle of the pack, 16th, something like that, if he's just solid, average NFL quarterback with the weapons on that team, the second most important player in the NFC East is Saquon Barkley, because without him, the offense went to pieces. It's not Dak and it's not Zeke. They're both on the Giants. It's a quarterback and a running back. It's Daniel Jones and Saquon.
Well, first of all, we ain't interested in Daniel Jones. I mean, please. I mean, first of all, the name alone is boring for crying out loud. I mean, I'm just messing with you. I'm just getting on him because Molly called him Danny Dimes. That's all. But I respect Daniel Jones. I think he's got potential. Here's the deal. Here's the reality of the situation, y'all. Marcus Spears, I brought up Ezekiel Elliott because I think he's pivotal to the success of Dak Prescott. See, I think he makes Dak Prescott better because if Dak Prescott can rely on him to be efficient and effective, I think that's going to make Dak Prescott more, even more potent, which basically leads towards your point. I get that. As an aside, however, I'd like to remind you of this. Because you brought up the emotions of the Dallas Cowboys. I want you to know that the Dallas Cowboys are a very emotional bunch, from what I was told. We were in Vegas for the fight this past week in Marcus Spears, and I was at the Aria. The Aria is a nice hotel and stuff like that. I'm a Wynn guy myself, the Wynn Hotel, but it was sold out, so I went to the Aria, right? So we were at the Aria, and I heard the Dallas Cowboys were there. And I walked into that vicinity, and all next thing you know, I saw a whole bunch of people scattering. It was like the Dallas Cowboys were hiding. They were running from your boy Stephen A. They didn't want to see Stephen A. Marcus Spears. They were running, okay? Because they didn't want to be ridiculed. They didn't want to be reminded of what's been going on and what's to come, what inevitably will come down the pike. All of this stuff that you brought up about Dak Prescott, absolutely true. As great as he is, one guy, 53-man roster, but one guy goes down, and you saw them all emotional. And you saw them basically just give a concession speech about this season because Dak Prescott went down. He's back now. We hope he's healthy. We pray that he stays healthy. But in the end, here's what it comes down to. You're going to need him, and you're going to need Ezekiel Elliott to help him. Because if he just gets to drop back the pass and they don't have a running game, you're going to have a problem, Marcus Spears. You're going to have a problem.
The same thing could be said about the Giants, only they're a better team, and Saquon's better than Zeke.
Come on now, Max. The Giants haven't. I mean, let's be serious, please. Come on, man. We wondering whether or not Daniel Jones will be in the league, Max.
NFC East finished with losing records.
Yeah, and by the way,
it was pretty bad.
By the way, Saquon Barkley had 2,000 yards from scrimmage as a rookie behind a bad offensive line. He's back with a vengeance now.
Listen. Listen, Max, I hear all of that, bro. I hear all of that. And we talk about losing records and all of that. None of these teams last year lost their quarterback outside of the Dallas Cowboys. And we saw it fall off a cliff. I don't understand how in the hell y'all can look at the impact of Dak Prescott not being – they might have still been bad anyway. But I guarantee you they'd have won more games than they won last year with Dak Prescott playing quarterback.
No, I'm with you, Marcus.
How many wins the Cowboys had last year?
Can we ban the word cliff from the show, please?
The most important player is Dak Prescott.
The Cowboys had 6 wins last year. They 8 the year before.
Yeah, and then we got to roll.
What word do you want banned, Molly?
Cliff.
That's 2 more.
Cliff.
That's 2 more than 6, Max.
I get uncomfortable hearing the word cliff
No. We
on
just
the
need
show.
to ban it from Max's vocabulary. Max should not be allowed to utter the word cliff at all.
Or Tom
ravine.
Brady.
Or ravine.
I'm gonna do the whole next segment just saying the words Tom Brady and Cliff.
Oh, or ravine, or whatever you said.
Come on here, we're hopeful
All right,
for
let's
Daniel
roll the
Jones.
bump.
I hope
Hey, Molly?
Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Molly, what the hell is Marcus Spears have in his background? Look like a disco sign or something. What is
Marcus, you better go find Perk.
It says good vibes only. I'm with that, but he's not bringing the good vibes. I don't know what's going on with him today. Top 5 point guards for Phoenix all tied up. The Suns were looking unstoppable here just a few games ago, and then the Bucks took 2 in Milwaukee after big games from Giannis and Chris Middleton. Chris Paul hoping to step up after a rough trip, including a pivotal turnover with 32 seconds left in the Game 4 loss. Now to Game 5. Oh, and it's a big one. Just how important is Game 5? In finals history, the winner of Game 5 with the series tied 2-2 goes on to win the title 72% of the time. The last team that didn't win Game 5 but won the finals was the Miami Heat in 2013. Oh, look who showed up. Richard Jefferson. Where you been all my life? How we doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. Stephen A., you're up first. Does Chris Paul drop out of the top 5 point guard rankings of all time if he loses this finals?
Yes, I do believe that to be the case. And I was the one that said he'd be in the top 5 if he were to win the championship, because I think that he's one of the great floor generals the game has ever seen and the surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. But I would remind you who my top 4 are. It would be Irvin Magic Johnson. It would be Steph Curry. It would be Oscar Robertson. It would be the great Isaiah Thomas. He ain't moving any of those 4. All right? And then we have to take into consideration, how about a Jason Kidd? Won a championship with Dallas, went to 2 NBA finals with our man RJ and Kenyon Martin and all of those guys. I know Kenyon Martin got on me lately for a couple of things that I may have said. Kenyon Martin, I ain't got nothing but love for you, my brother. You feel free to get on me all you want to. I ain't got nothing but love and respect for that brother and how he played the game of basketball. Got a lot of love for Kenyon Martin. You know that, RJ. But Jason Kidd was the floor general for y'all when y'all went to 2 NBA Finals appearances. I can't ignore Jason Kidd. I can't ignore GP Gary Payton. I can't ignore guys like that. Of course, the great John Stockton as well. Even though he lost in 2 NBA Finals appearances, CP3 could be in top 5 if he wins it. But if he doesn't, I would have to put probably Jason Kidd or Gary Payton right there.
I'm glad you brought up Gary Payton, Stephen A., because somehow Gary Payton gets lost in these conversations when we talk about point guards. I guess because he scored a lot. Gary Payton led a team to to the finals and lost to Michael Jordan. Right, in 6 games.
Was an elite defender.
It was an elite defender and could score and could lead, do all those things. Gary Payton was totally great. I don't think Chris Paul necessarily drops out of the top 5. I agree with your top 4. Remember when you made your point guard list? I said, perfect. I agree. I think Stockton has a hell of a case, but ultimately we both agree why he's not there, because he couldn't take over a game the same way that, let's say, Isaiah could, right? And I give Isaiah the slightest of margins over Stockton. And Steve Nash was not a defender, and although Stockton was and Payton was, but Payton didn't have the kind of point guard ability to elevate everyone that I feel Chris Paul has. Not that he doesn't have it, but I think Chris Paul has more of that stuff. Now there's Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd couldn't shoot until he was no longer at his best. It's not that he's a clear cut over any of these guys. Or, by the way, guys like Kevin Johnson and guys that don't always come up. Now there's Lillard, there's Westbrook. Do you consider AI a point guard? There are a lot of guys. But in terms of point guards and the way we think about how a point guard plays, Chris Paul still has a hell of a case as a top 5 guy, even if he loses here. Guys, What is the weakness exactly? Defends, checks. Is he a floor general? Check, check, check. Can he score at every level? And he can shoot. And he has a feel for the game. And he's a leader. And it goes on and on and on. Chris Paul is kind of the perfect point guard. So while you're right, it's not a slam dunk, so to speak, one way or another. If he loses with Peyton, Nash, Stockton, Kidd, and the list goes on, they ain't slam dunks over him either. And in fact, if push comes to shove, I'd probably, by the narrowest of margins, still take CP3.
You know what's so funny is that we're talking about a lot of modern day point guards in the last 20, 25 years. We're not even talking about legacy point guards when you talk about Bob Cousy. I know the game was different, but even like a Walt Clyde Frazier. Look at some of the numbers that he put up in the finals when he was with the Knicks. It's like there's so many high-level point guards, and for me, obviously, I'm biased. I think Jason Kidd is the best point guard that I played with outside, and even seen outside of Magic Johnson. But I'll show you the weakness for Chris Paul. This is where Chris Paul, in my opinion, is not a top 5 point guard. And even though there's other guys that have these things, look, in 2018, he was up 3-2 against the Warriors. In 16, he's up 2-0 against the Trailblazers, 3-1 against the Rockets, 2-0 against the Grizzlies, and 3-2 against the Spurs. And all of those were losses. All of those were losses. So while he is a great point guard and he is one of the best point guards of this era, if not the best point guard of his generation, to me, that's the thing that keeps him out of the top 5 all time. When you have all of these checklists, we talk about John Stockton, lost twice to Michael Jordan. Gary Payton lost to Michael Jordan. Jason Kidd lost to Kobe and Shaq. And then we also lost to Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So even when you look at some of the great point guards of all time, some of their losses were to high-level teams. And Chris Paul has a lot of tough postseason losses here. And even here, they're up 2-0, and there's a chance that they might still lose this series. That's why, to me, he's not a top 5. If he wins this, it puts him in the conversation for top 5.
I get where you're coming from. I would tell you that as I look at his career in New Orleans with the Clippers, obviously Oklahoma City, Houston, and now, Phoenix, Chris Paul's never really been the favorite. The 1 year with Lob City was a catastrophe when they were 3-2 about to advance the Clippers to their first conference finals appearance. And they collapsed at the hands of Houston with Kevin McHale as the coach, sitting James Harden down with Dwight Howard and others in the lineup. They went on a 49-9 run. But I look at CP3, and one of the things, RJ, that I get into it with Max on occasion, CP3 is not some 6'4" athletic freak like Russell Westbrook. He's not a 6'2", 6'3" athletic freak like Derrick Rose once was. CP3 is a 6-foot guard. And so when you look at him and the absence of athleticism, meaning above the rim capability and things of that nature, okay, what do you have to lean on? The basic fundamentals of basketball and a cerebral approach to the game that is rivaled by very few in the game's history. And when we look at it from that perspective, that's where the word quintessential comes into play, which is why I say CP3 is one of the great quintessential point guards we have ever seen. There's a level of accountability, and Max and I have disagreed with this. There's a level of accountability that I would elevate in his direction if he had the size and athleticism of a Russell Westbrook or a Derrick Rose. But considering the fact that he was a miniature point guard, and he's been able to do what he did, I look at Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan at the time as not getting it done. Yeah. You understand? And I looked at James Harden and Trevor Ariza shooting 0 for 12. That not getting it done. But I didn't expect them to be Golden State anyway. That's how I view it.
The only place, Stephen A., you and I disagree there is if you're short, you're not as good. I mean, that's the problem, right? So I would rate guys ahead of him. But I want to get into that for a second. No short point guard has ever really won a championship as the best player on the team since Isaiah won for Steph Curry. And it was only because both Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt, or it would be 0 for Steph Curry. Now think about that. If not for LeBron's second and third best players getting hurt, Steph Curry would have exactly
That's ridiculous.
0 championships as the best player on the team. Well,
I'm stating a fact.
Was he better than Kevin Durant? Wait a minute. Was he better than Kevin Durant?
Steph Curry. You saying Steph Curry wouldn't have got a ring?
No. As the best player on the team.
Oh, okay.
Short
I thought you
point.
said,
So you and I actually.
I apologize. I thought you were saying he wouldn't have a championship. I got it.
So you and I see eye to eye about short point guards, right? Smaller players are at a disadvantage. That's why it doesn't happen. Even Isaiah, as the best player, had a whole lot of help. That was an evenly balanced team. My point is this.
6'3".
Yeah, I know, but he's slightly built. It's true, but he's slightly. My point is this.
Go ahead.
My point is this. Chris Paul was never on a team with a player better than him that lost, right? Like Blake Griffin won better than him. Who was better than him? James Harden? That's only because Chris Paul got hurt. If Chris Paul stayed healthy, I think they'd have beaten the Warriors, right? So to kind of point at Chris Paul and say, well, you've collapsed. He was usually, as Stephen A. points out, playing better teams, RJ. He was usually the best player on the team at 6 feet tall.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and so many times we want to kind of dissect things. Go back and look at LeBron James' finals record as we dissect so many times. How many times was he the favorite? How many times was he truly the favorite? A lot of people point to that Mavericks loss. You know, that's a really bad one. But how many times was it? It's not about being the favorite.
At least 4.
It's about being up 3-2.
He was the favorite about 3 out of.
It's about up.
He was the favorite about 3 or 4 out of the 10 times.
Yeah. No, maybe 5 with the Lakers too.
Yeah, but my point is this, is that it's about how you play in that moment. When you're up 3-0, you're up 2-0, you're up 3-2. You're like, when you have those moments, you are that good. If you are the point god, those are moments that you need to finish out. And there's just been too many times, now mind you, he's been in the postseason 13 times in his career. There's too many times where he didn't finish that out that, to me, doesn't put him in that same category as the Magics, the Jason Kidds, and the John Stocktons.
RJ, let me ask you this question because you're the guy that played in the NBA. You're more qualified than any of us to answer this question. I need to know how much, I don't know if the word is credence or how much of a pass do you give a guy when at least 60% of those times it was due to injury?
I give him a ton. I give him a ton of pass because that's something that you can't help. A broken hand, a pop hamstring, that's something. But there's a durability. Because we want to judge Anthony Davis
look at CP's injury, though. Go look at his history, RJ, every single time. Even now, we all know. You see it. We all know he ain't healthy. Even now, every single time almost, the guy gets hurt.
The best ability is availability. The best ability is availability.
Facts.
If you're not available in the best moments, oh well.
RJ, thank you for moonlighting with us. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon. And you mentioned Jason Kidd. Well, the Jason Kidd-Luka Doncic marriage work in Big D. One of the best floor generals of all time, perhaps paired with the best point guard in the game.
People expect a lot from me. You gotta be concentrated for every game because you're trying to win every game.
Here's Luka. It's gone! A Doncic dagger!
Second to none. Best of the best, woman, best yet to come.
Wow, what a pass by Doncic. There's the triple-double for Luka.
I just want to have fun with the game. That's when I best play, and that's my key.
Jason Kidd and Luka Doncic could be a match made in heaven. Not only does Kidd have experience as a player in Dallas, bringing home the title in 2011, but in terms of style of play, Kidd was known for dishing out dimes at his time, something Luka knows a thing or two about. Here's Kidd.
My job is to give him the answers to the test, and his job is to execute that on the floor. And so he does that at a very high level, not just with the Mavs, but with also his national team. And so I think we're all excited to have this opportunity to be around him.
Max, what do you think? Do you see this Luka-Kidd partnership working out?
Yeah, sure. I think it could go well, but I don't think coaching was the problem with Dallas to begin with. Like, the issue for me with Dallas is they don't have a good enough second banana. And understand, I think Porzingis could have been an amazing player, and he is very good. But every year he's recovering from injury, just trying to get back to where he was the previous year. So he never gets to develop any better than he's already been. And frequently he's not even that. That's the problem. Stephen A., a lot of times people don't even realize why they're mad at stuff, why they're upset. And I realize a lot of the reporting has been, well, actually, there's this issue with the coach or the personalities or he's been there too long or whatever, and therefore now things aren't good. I think here it works the other way. They're not winning enough because they're not good enough. And then you start to see stuff crack. But if you look at the Mavs offense, Stephen A., the Mavs on offense the last couple of years, everyone's right where they're supposed to be. You go, that's why 2 years ago they had the most efficient offense of all time. Not because they had the best team or the greatest players. They were extremely well coached on offense. So Kidd could work out, sure. But ultimately, will it work out? Will they win a championship? Not unless Porzingis stays healthy or they get a second banana who can.
Well, Max, let me take off the opinionated hat and just give you the intel, okay? And I'm not debating or refuting anything you say. I'm just providing information. Number one, everybody knows that Rick Carlisle is a great coach, X's and O's wise. The problem is that his relationship with Luka Doncic wasn't ideal. Now, Rick Carlisle could deny that. Luka Doncic can deny it. I'm here to tell you, I'm giving you the facts. It wasn't ideal. Now, in large part, that was due to Luka Doncic because Luka Doncic is very emotional. He was a league leader in technical fouls issued against him. He was considered a bit prima donna-ish. And somebody that, obviously the Dallas Mavericks have a difficult time reining in because they're petrified. They know he's the franchise, and they're petrified of him not signing their extension. Even though they fully expect him to do so, they're still scared until it's actually done. Okay? And when you look at Rick Carlisle and the relationship that he had, this was a guy that he couldn't control. And certainly when you have Mark Cuban listening to that dude from Europe that the article was written about weeks ago, I don't recall his name, forgive me for that, but that guy's had a profound impact because he's had the ear of Mark Cuban, which ultimately led to Donnie Walsh.
You're talking about Bob Voulgaris?
I believe so.
Voulgaris is from here. He's a gambler from here.
I apologize.
Yeah.
That's right. He's from here. You're absolutely right. I apologize for that. He's from here. But the point is that with Mark Cuban, he has his ear. And that Donnie Walsh is gone after 24 years as a GM in large part because of that. Rick Carlisle has departed as well, even though he was hoping to get the Milwaukee job. But we now see that Mike Budenholzer probably ain't going anywhere. That's why he took the Indiana job for $29 million. And I'm very, very happy for him. So that's one point. The other point is that Jason Kidd has to be careful because Jason Kidd once coached in Brooklyn. That didn't end up in an ideal fashion. He departed from Milwaukee in less than ideal fashions. This is probably his last chance as a head coach. He better not mess this up in terms of relationships within the organization. And the reason why coaching here is so important is because the Dallas Mavericks haven't won more than 42 games in the season over the last 6 years, Max, even though this past season, when they won 42, give them credit where it's due because they did it in 72 games in a 72-game season instead of an 82-game season. But what people are looking at and what people have taken notice of is that you got a well-respected and well-renowned owner in Mark Cuban. You had a great coach in Rick Carlisle who won a championship a decade ago, even though he hadn't gotten out of the first round since. Okay, you play in a city like Dallas, a metropolis, and a state like Texas with no state income taxes, and you couldn't get any marquee free agents. Everybody was paying attention to that. So now that Jason Kidd comes here, what you have is a guy who's a point guard, and a lot of these guys that are point guards who really, really know the game and know how to think the game end up showing the potential to be great coaches. Jason Kidd also has a history as a developmental guy, him and his team. Giannis is, they're credited with a lot of the development that Giannis displayed in his years where Jason Kidd was coaching him. And even though Luka's got that game with him already, it's expected that Jason Kidd would only make it better. But the key thing, the two key reasons why Jason Kidd got this job, outside of Dirk Nowitzki obviously vouching for him along with others, that definitely helped because Dirk Nowitzki now has a voice and he's in Mark Cuban's ear as well. Dirk Nowitzki matters. The key is that A, he's believed to be somebody who can cultivate the right relationship with Luka Doncic. That Luka Doncic is going to be receptive to receiving what Jason Kidd brings to him. And number two, Jason Kidd is going to be seen as a considerably better recruiter than Rick Carlisle potentially. Because a lot of people want Luka Doncic gone. I'm sorry, not Luka Doncic. I'm sorry, Kristaps Porzingis. because Kristaps Porzingis is not seen as having the greatest relationship with Luka Doncic. A matter of fact, some people have accused him of being jealous. I haven't spoken to these guys, so I don't know this to be true. I'm telling you what I'm hearing from my sources in Dallas. That's what's going on. Porzingis probably needs to go. They probably need to utilize him to get a bona fide secondary option, because he seems to be somebody that's jealous of Luka Doncic and resentful of the cachet he has compared to Porzingis, and that's partly what's going on. Mark Cuban and those guys may deny it. They can do that all they want to. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying this is the noise that's circulating out of Dallas.
What you're hearing.
Porzingis would have stayed healthy. They'd be in the final. If he'd been healthy the last couple of years, I think they'd be in the finals right now. But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's 2 years ago. But this past year, his jealousy was considered more problematic than his game.
Interesting. All right, we'll leave it there. When we come back, there's a team out there that folks think will get the best of Stephen A's Steelers and Lamar's Ravens. Yes, we are talking Browns and whether they'll take the AFC North. Marcus Spears back the rest of the way.
Yo, he knows my number. What?
What's the part that's the end of the world?
Last time I checked, that's number one money.
Uh-oh, now our secret is out. The secret plans are out.
Ooh!
The coach of the Eagles, but according to former NFL fullback and now NFL Network analyst Michael Robinson, not everyone in Philly believes in the new man in charge.
I'm not going to say any names, but I know some guys in that locker room who they question this guy and they question whether he can truly lead this team. And me personally, my personal thoughts on it is that, maybe Howie Roseman wanted to put somebody, a yes man, in the head coaching position because, Doug Peterson didn't want to do things all the way his way. And so he wanted to get a yes man there. At least that's what it looks like to me.
It's time for quick takes. Let's go. Stephen A., what do you make of those comments?
Not surprising at all. We know that Doug Peterson should still be the coach there. We know that he wasn't on the same page as Howie Roseman, and it's unfortunate. And we've seen how weird Nick Sirianni's press conferences and his conversations with the media have been. They've been nothing short of bizarre. So I'm not surprised by Robinson's comments at all. I think they're right on the money.
All right. Adam Schefter had some interesting comments about Aaron Rodgers, saying they've lost Aaron Rodgers. There has to be, I think, some sort of stipulation that makes it clear that the Packers will trade him after the season. We all know where this is going. It's going to a divorce. This is about a way to bring him to camp, and he's trying to find a way to engineer his departure. Max, are the Packers making a mistake not trading him now?
Oh, yeah. Look, they have to try to change his mind. I keep saying it. He's the mind that has to change. They can't. How are you going to strong arm a quarterback, a leader in a full contact sport, when he's not all in to lead your team to a Super Bowl when you're ready to win one? That's not going to work. And his value is going down, not up, because he's a distressed asset. Everyone knows he doesn't want to be there.
According to the Tampa Bay Times, Tom Brady played the entirety of last season, including the Super Bowl, with a torn MCL in his left knee. Stephen A., are you impressed with Brady?
Well, I'll give him credit for this. This information was leaked out and revealed after he won a Super Bowl, which is different from LeBron James. Remember years ago when LeBron James lost in the finals and then came out in a press conference with a cast on, basically highlighting how he had been playing with a messed up hand or arm or whatever the case may be. At least Brady did it after he won, but still, who cares now? Congratulations.
All right, Cam Newton is back for his second season in Foxborough. The first go-around didn't necessarily go as planned, and Newton said he views the upcoming season as put up or shut up. Tua looks to build off his rookie season in Miami. Though he struggled at times under center last season, he finished 6-3 as a starter with 11 passing touchdowns and 5 picks. Zach Wilson is a new face in the conference as he takes over in New York. The Jets haven't had a winning season since 2015, and they haven't reached the playoffs since 2010. Josh Allen was selected to his first Pro Bowl last season. Can he keep it rolling in 2021? He currently has the third shortest odds to win MVP. Only Mahomes and Rodgers have shorter odds. Where's Marcus Spears? There he is, with the good vibes and the smile. That's the Marcus I know. That's the Marcus I like. Max, which team wins the AFC East?
I think it's the Patriots, and I think this is a very tough one. Not just the Patriots and the Bills, but also the Dolphins. But if you force me to pick right now, I'm going to say the Patriots. Let's keep in mind, that was a 7-win team, two plays away from being a 9-win team. Now, you got that extra game this year, right? Unless there's a tie, you're going to be either above or below 500. 9-7-ish team. A 9-8-ish team, an 8-9-ish team. That's what the Patriots were underneath it all last year. But what's happened? They brought in weapons, which Tom Brady had none of, and neither did Cam Newton. Now they have respectable weapons at receiver and tight end. What else happened? Remember how many guys off the defense they lost to begin last year? And Belichick is all about preparation and game planning and put people in the right positions. They didn't have a preseason. Their practice facility was shut down last year. And then Cam got COVID. Cam said he's the healthiest he's been in half a decade now, in 5 seasons. Cam now understands the playbook, has been there for a year. A 7-win team, 2 wins away from 9 wins last year. I'm looking at the Patriots. They could win 10, maybe 11 games this year. Who knows? I think, and your point, Molly, yesterday about how Belichick will be motivated after what Brady just did, after he missed the playoffs. I think the Patriots eke out a very tough division.
I get where you're coming from with that. I just can't ignore the progress that I saw from the Buffalo Bills last year. When I look at their offense and I look at the growth of Josh Allen and I look at them having the number 3 passing attack, the number 2 offense in points and yards, I'm thinking along those lines, and I would like to see them get more notoriety in terms of help from the wide receiver position to join Stephon Diggs. But I'm looking at Stephon Diggs last year. What is it, 127 receptions for 1,535 yards? Now I'm looking at the bodies that the New England Patriots are going to be adding to their defense this year. And obviously I expect them to be more formidable. And I think their running game is going to be stout, no doubt about that. It's going to be real interesting to see how Cam performs. Because again, I believe in him as an athlete. I believe in him as a leader. I believe in him as a person. I do not believe in him as a passer. And that's where my reservations lie. And I think that the AFC East is better than it's been in years when you look at Miami and Buffalo. And I think that they have the tendency to be, they have the potential to beat up on each other. The potential, not the tendency. That would be the NFC East. The AFC East, I think they have the potential to beat up on each other for this upcoming season. I'm going to go with the Bills until I see them knocked off. I think they've got that proverbial monkey off their back in terms of perpetually falling to the New England Patriots. I think things are going to change, and I'm going to go with them until I see New England prove me wrong.
I'm with you, Max. I'm with you on the New England Patriots. And listen, I know it's the popular opinion right now for the Buffalo Bills based on what we saw Josh Allen do, what we saw Stephon Diggs do. The one thing I know, and then too, you look at last year, the Bills won this game 38-9 against the Patriots. You know what Cam Newton was in that game? He was 5 for 10 for 34 yards passing. That's how bad the performance was from the quarterback. And then you look at earlier in the season with the New England Patriots, and Max, I love that you bring these games up. They played the Chiefs to 13 points until the third quarter. Game was 10-13 going into the fourth quarter against the Kansas City Chiefs. So Bill Belichick has not forgotten how to coach. Exactly. Bill Belichick has not forgotten how to coach. You look at all of the opt-outs. Like New England was playing with their hands tied behind their back last year, fellas. And when we look at all of the things that's transpired in this offseason, with every team and everybody that's done work to improve their roster, the argument is to be made that the New England Patriots did the most. And I get it. The question is at quarterback, trying to figure out what it's going to do. I've seen Bill Belichick throughout his career overcome that time and time again. Because people act like that the what this team has been built on for so long, and I know we get lost and enamored with what Tom Brady has done. This team has been built on defense. They've done it on that side of the ball at an elite level consistently every year. Last year with opt-outs, without your leader in Hightower, you brought in defensive people too, because we like to talk offense so much when it comes to football. You brought in guys. I think they have to get Stephon Gilmore fixed immediately. But the New England Patriots not only, I think, is going to win this division, when it's all said and done at the end of the year, we could say that this was clearly the best team in the AFC East as well while they're trying to go throughout the playoffs and win a Super Bowl.
Marcus, the only place that I'm really definitively inclined to disagree with you is when you say the Buffalo Bills are the popular pick. I actually disagree with you. I think the New England Patriots have become the popular pick. I think when everybody saw the New England Patriots dole out $165+ million in guaranteed dollars, and they saw the number of bodies added to their squad, combined with the fact that Cam Newton is healthy and there's no COVID and he's more familiar with the offense, combined with them drafting Mac Jones, I think you got a lot, and of course their history in the AFC and the fact that they just won 7 games despite how deplorable their passing game was last year. I think it's actually popular for folks to be picking New England to win the AFC East. I don't think it's a popular pick to pick the Buffalo Bills.
You know who not enough people are picking is the Dolphins.
I hear you on the Dolphins, Max, but I'm saying I think that there's a lot of people, an awful lot of people that believe in the New England Patriots this year. They really do.
Vegas,
As they should,
Vegas
but the
has the
popular pick
Bills,
is the Bills.
Dolphins. Sorry to interrupt you. Vegas has Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, then Jets.
Well, we all know it's not going to be the Jets.
Yeah,
but the other
the
three,
Bills
it's
are
tough.
the popular pick. That's what you're doing. You taking the popular pick, Stephen
I didn't
A.
believe I was. I
The
didn't
Buffalo
believe I
Bills
was.
are the popular pick.
I didn't believe I was.
The New England Patriots are not. The
No,
questions
the
at
Bills are the
quarterback is
popular
reason why
pick.
people are apprehensive.
The
Well, I'm
Bills
not
are the
there.
popular
They are.
pick, but there are plenty of people taking the pass.
Listen, the only time I pay attention to Vegas is when I'm there. When I'm not there, I don't pay too much attention to Vegas, because one of the key elements y'all all must remember, and let me give you a lesson out here. The fellas know this. Molly, you know this, but I'm going to say it for the public's edification. The key to resisting temptation is avoiding it. So that's why I don't think about Vegas until I go there, okay? Having said all of that, listening to the NFL aficionados, all the NFL aficionados I hear talking, I usually hear New England. I don't hear a lot Buffalo. I hear New England. I'm picking Buffalo, though.
Okay.
You
I
will pick Buffalo
understand.
because you want to go with the comfortable pick. You want to go with the things that seem to make sense, like you do all the time.
Hold on.
But it's the damn New England Patriots.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Who people
Marcus.
looking at things think gonna win the division.
Marcus,
What?
I'm not ashamed to admit I like comfort. I'm not ashamed.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
But sometimes uncomfortable. Yeah. But and then
Gentlemen,
sometimes
Molly
people
is
gotta
trying
make you
to say
uncomfortable
something.
when you're just walking with the trend. Sorry, Molly. Go ahead.
Okay. Speaking of bucking the trend, I understand that you were golfing yesterday, Marcus.
What?
No, I was not. I was not golfing yesterday. No. Don't play me like this either.
I don't
y'all
know.
gonna put this picture up. I look like the worst golfer in the world with my outfit. Here's the deal. All right. Before you start talking, Stephen A. Smith, I don't want to hear it. Here's the deal. I said I'm getting into golf. I'm getting into golf. I'm going to finally start trying to play. Y'all know me, I'm an outdoorsman. I love fishing and hunting. I'm a country boy from Louisiana.
You look like you're about to fall over
But when
right
I don't
there.
have anything to do. No, that's actually not a bad golf stance. That's a bad golf outfit. I didn't partake in the coins of putting my coins forward towards golf.
I know what
during
you could
that time,
do, Marcus.
But I'll have a better outfit next.
Marcus, you could hem the shorts, you could make them a little shorter, and you could tuck in the shirt. That's just a start.
Molly? Well, first of all, it's a couple of things. Couple of things that are important to point out. First of all, when Molly gives you tips on how to dress, listen. She knows what the hell she's talking about. That's number one. Number two, I must confess, Molly, that I'm about to get into golf myself. Steph Curry gave me advice last year on where to go to get some clubs, and then CP3 stuck his nose in it. He's like, "You gonna play golf? You? Oh, I got to see this." And my man Mike Wilbon had about 3 spots for me to go to. You know what I'm saying? And I just swore. I said, "Listen, I've only swung a golf club 10 times in my life, and I already know I would be better than Charles Barkley, who, by the way, put his foot in his mouth. Talking about he finished in the top 7 and then finished like 75. I love my brother Chuck, but my God, right?" And then I reached out. I ran into Michael Jordan a few months ago. I talked to him about playing golf, and Michael Jordan. This is how Michael Jordan is. He makes me sick sometimes. This is what he says to me, y'all. That's real good. That's real good. Now here's your initiation.
Yeah.
Go get your golf clubs made. Then come here and get your ass kicked. and give me your money, because that's exactly what's going to happen to you. He said that's where you start. So he's already talking about taking my money before I even swing a daggone club.
Stephen A., I think it would be good for you. I think it'd be good for you. Get away from everything, be outside, good health. It just takes.
Who are all these people with time for 18 holes? That's what I want to know.
You don't have time. You'd have to give up like one of your 10 shows.
9.
Yeah.
Right.
9.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
just don't know when you're going to be doing that.
Molly, I'm going to treat Marcus Spears. I need to have fun. So I'm going to treat Marcus Spears and Damian Woody just to watch them swing.
Come on.
If anybody wants to get their butt kicked, I'll play y'all in tennis, and you will have your butt kicked. Trust me. But I don't know anything about golf. That's my country club sport.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, because Stephen A., and this is his show and First Take and all of that. He got people fooled thinking he athletic. Brother, you ain't as athletic as me and Damian Woody. No day of the week.
Obviously, you're a professional
does not
athlete.
equate to what me and Damian Woody
I've never.
I'm not talking about no swing.
Can I respond real quick, man?
Nobody.
Can I respond real quick? First of all, it's a couple of things. I ain't gonna say I'm athletic. I know I can ball. I tell you that, number one. But number two, I don't care how athletic y'all are. Y'all too damn big to be swinging a golf club. I don't believe it. I got to see it first. Y'all too damn big to be swinging some golf club. I don't care what nobody says.
I have heard it's time for break about 70 times. Don't get me in trouble anymore.
Practice.
Roll the bum.
All right, Molly, sorry.
No. I let it go. Inconsistency has been the name of the game between Chris Paul, Drew Holiday, and Devin Booker this series. Does one of them need to step up in Game 5?